Blackstone Audio presents The Abominable Man by Maj Sjöwall and Per Waller. Translated from the Swedish by Thomas Thiel. Chapter 1. Just after midnight he stopped thinking. He'd been writing something earlier, but now the blue ballpoint pen lay in front of him on the newspaper, exactly in the right-hand column of the crossword puzzle. He was sitting erect and utterly motionless on a worn wooden chair in front of a low table in the cramped little attic room. A round yellowish lampshade with a long fringe hung above his head. The fabric was pale with age, and the light from the feeble bulb was hazy and uncertain. It was quiet in the house, but the quiet was relative. Inside there were 3 people breathing, and from outside came an indistinct, pulsating, barely discernible murmur, as if from traffic on far-off roads, or from a distant boiling sea. The sound of 1,000,000 human beings, of a large city in its anxious sleep. The man in the attic room was dressed in a beige lumber jacket, gray ski pants, a machine-knit black turtleneck jumper, and brown ski boots. He had a large but well-tended mustache, just a shade lighter than the hair combed smoothly back at an angle across his head. His face was narrow, with a clean profile and finely chiseled features, and behind the rigid mask of resentful accusation and obstinate purpose, there was an almost childlike expression, weak and perplexed and appealing, and nevertheless a little bit calculating. His clear blue eyes were steady, but vacant. He looked like a little boy, grown suddenly very old. The man sat stock still for almost an hour, the palms of his hands resting on his thighs, his eyes staring blankly at the same spot on the faded flowered wallpaper. Then he stood up, walked across the room, opened a closet door, reached up with his left hand and took something from the shelf. A long, thin object wrapped in a white kitchen towel with a red border. The object was a carbine bayonet. He drew it and very carefully wiped off the yellow gun grease before sliding it into its steel-blue scabbard. In spite of the fact that he was tall and rather heavy, his movements were quick and lithe and economical, and his hands were as steady as his gaze. He unbuckled his belt and slid it through the leather loop on the sheath. Then he zipped up his jacket, put on a pair of gloves and a checkered tweed cap, and left the house. The wooden stairs creaked beneath his weight, but his footsteps themselves were inaudible. The house was small and old, and stood on the top of a little hill above the main road. It was a chilly, starlit night. The man in the...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?